Hello, fellow traders. 'Tis I, the Rumpled One, coming to you Friday, May the 21st. The year's 2021. Let's talk trading. It's time for the weekly wrap up. This video is for educational purposes only. Your results may differ from mine. Since it's the weekly wrap up, let's start with the weekly chart. All the gaps. The open. No, there's a couple that did not fill by mistake. We have two that did not fill. So it looks like most of the weekly gap traders were paid off. And you can see here that we broke out of the previous week's high, but now we are about 8 pips below it. The pound moving up to 41.57. Now, if you look at the opening day range, you can see today we dipped down below it and shot back above it, with that line being at 41.46. You see yesterday we crossed above it. The day before we crossed below it. And the day before that, Tuesday, we crossed above it. So a lot of action around that weekly opening range high. For the year, we're 515 pips above the yearly open. Now, yesterday we had an inside bar, and as you can see, we broke out, but now we're back inside. Now, somebody asked me, what do these numbers mean? This is how many bars ago the inside bar occurred. So, has to be, it can't be the current bar, because you really can't trade that as an inside bar. So you can see here on the daily, we had a bunch of inside bars yesterday. But if you shift over to the weekly, you can see that inside bar was for the weekly was 7 weeks ago. And then for the monthly, you can see that there was an inside bar 2 months ago right there. So that's what those numbers mean. Like I said, somebody donated and they were wondering what those numbers meant. So for the range today, we only have 4 pairs over 100, the pound clocking in at 93, a respectable 93, even though well below the average. But enough movement to make pips on just about all of the methods, these horizontal line methods. You can see here we had a pivot that was below the open, so the bias was negative. You can see here there was a couple of nice tries, then we had a pop up. I believe some news came out, and then we came down, and we had actually already taken out the that's the future pivot, so we had to come down and take out the pivot off of that news. And you can see here the price action back and forth across that pivot at 141.59, or call it 141.60. Okay, the red rats had a feast, and now it was the green rats' turn. And actually I was playing the long, the psychological here at the 50, but I've been busy. This week I've been doing a lot of coding for a trader, and so that's why I really haven't been focused. I wasn't really focused on that trade. And for you pivot traders, this is pretty interesting here. You know, at or near the pivot point, the bias is long. And, you know, if we go back a couple of charts here, you can see here it was near it, the bias was long. It's near it again. So once again, they want it to be long. Furthermore, if it's near S1, the bias is long. Basically, anything between the pivot point and S1, it seems like it's long. But, you know, S1, we're pretty far away from it. And you can see here we're in that the channel here between the between the previous day's midpoint and then that same distance to the other side. We've got that channel that some traders like to trade. And the H4 pivot hasn't been hit, but the D1 was hit, the W1 was hit, and the monthly's been hit. So those pivots have all been taken out. We do have a missed pivot from May the 10th. Well, we've got next week. I guess we could take out that pivot possibly. And the only problem is 39.63. It's pretty far off at the moment. The wick zone on the daily, as you can see here, price was crisscrossing through it, doesn't like to stay in it. Someone was asking me about the stats. Just remember, this is the high. This would be the top of the candle because yesterday was green. And this would be the bottom, and this would be the low. So in your frequency distribution indicator, just refer to, it would be high minus top, bottom minus low to calculate the wick zones. Or if you want to calculate, if it broke out the top, you would just say high minus previous high, like I'll show you in a minute on those on this chart. So if we switch back to the daily time frame, and we can look high minus previous high, 41 pips. So there was your breakout. Low minus previous low, no breakout because it's a minus. So you can see here we had some nice breakouts this week. Friday, Thursday, Wednesday. Okay, Friday was a breakout, no breakout, no breakout. Tuesday, Monday, breakouts. And then here, we only had one breakout to the low, and that was 2 days ago on Wednesday. And you can see that right there. For the week, the range average is 267. So you can see here, past 4 weeks have been, just haven't been there. Definitely below average, definite, and you can see where they are in the percentiles. I mean, we barely got out of the bottom third. High minus previous high on the week, though, we did have a nice 68 pip run, which put us at the 68 percentile. No breakout to the downside on the week. High minus close, though, 77 pips for the rat zone trader. So if you nailed the rat zone, the weekly rat zone, you were rewarded. And ditto, if you nailed the weekly rat zone, the green rat zone, you were rewarded, and the red rat zone was rewarded. And looking at the simple wall mall chart that I've got all mucked up now because I added the inside bar, outside bar, little price action indicator here, previous H1 high and low, the daily high or previous daily high. So you can see all the horizontal line action here, just taking those, whichever one comes first. So right here, you'd be taking the breakout of the previous H1 high because that came first before the 60 wall mall line. But then again, you wouldn't be trading because this hour on a Friday, bar 22 is not the best time to trade these methods. Finally, just looking at the lower high and higher low set to 34 bars, seeing to line up with the 3 ball. And you can see there was a nice trade here long at 51, good for 6.1 pips. And just so you traders know, the people that donated for 2021, I sent the indicators out this week. So you have in it the new or the latest version of TRO HL5, So you can set open, high, low, all these to false. And you come down here, you can set the higher close, lower close, higher low, lower high. Set those to true if you want your chart to look like this one. Then you can also say shade, higher high, lower high, set that to true. My bar is 34 with no shift. And just use the current period so that way when you switch time frames, the chart will self-adjust. And the other thing that I think I've mentioned before, my display decimals, if you want an extra, that fifth digit, there you go. Set that to 1. Normally it's set to 0. So you just get pips rather than points. Trying to remember if there was any questions. But Walmart and I appreciate the kind comments this week. It seems like some traders like the hearing about to place your bets. And I was thinking possibly next week we might get into more stuff on the chart. I think we don't want to wear anything out. We've been talking about psychology a lot, so I think we might get back to just some things on the chart, maybe some indicators, how to use them. If you've got any questions, fire them away over this weekend, so we'll have plenty of material for next week, because I also release the close minus highest low and lowest high minus close indicator on the multimeter, so you can track what's going on. And these are in pips. There's not enough room to make it in points, because these would just overrun each other. I'm trying to remember. I thought there might have been another question. I know there's still a few traders struggling with the Walmart method. And the thing is, the key to brilliance is simplicity. And I know it just seems like when traders struggle, what they wind up doing is usually adding things to the chart. And you're going the wrong direction. If anything, start taking things away. Simplify, simplify, simplify. Like I said, I've kind of mucked up this chart here, but it's only because I just wanted to show, the various trades. You can put these all in one chart, and once you understand one and you've got that down, so we started with the Walmart lines, and then you can put the previous H1 high low, and so now you've got two sets of line. And I always like trading inside bars, so you can see here there was a trigger to the north on the H1, and a lot of times I'll even like to trade it off of H5, because we're just scalping for 2 or 3 pips a lot. So you can see here we broke out of that inside bar, broke out of that inside bar. The outside bars, I just put that there because some people have asked about it. And then I've got the multimeter that tells me where there's inside bars and outside bars. So you can see there's one. Well, there was one. Now it just switched over. We have an outside bar there. On the daily, you can see we had an inside bar previous day, outside bar here on M15. So, that's how I use these multimeters, because I can just glance up to the upright hand side of the chart, and if I see something that I didn't see, the minute before or a few seconds before, it's like, wait a minute, or I see something blink, it's like, okay, what's going on? We've got the new high low, so you can see here in the M30 pushed up to a new high. When these go bright, that means that it's making a new high. When it's just a regular green, it's above the previous high, but it's not making a new high. So that's it for the week, fellow traders. Hope you had a profitable week. Please have a fun and safe weekend. And when you come back, remember, it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So go out there and drain the banks. This is TheRumpledOne, over and out.